Aloha, you're watching F5 On Demand. I'm Senior Technical Marketing Manager Peter Silva. We're at the Sands Expo Hall at the Venetian in Vegas for AWS reInvent 2013. It's the last day of the show. But one of the questions that we've gotten this week is, what exactly does F5 do for DevOps type situations? And so I thought I'd bring in Nojan Moshiri. He's a product manager for LineRate Systems, a recent F5 acquisition. And so I thought I'd get a little bit of insight from Nojan about what DevOps is and what LineRate can do to help solve some of the challenges that they're facing. So first, what is that? And well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
It's always good to see you, Nojan.
Yeah, nice to see you on the road.
And we've done a bunch of these in the past, of course, although I do like the little scrunchiness there on your face.
Thank you, thank you.
So,
new job, new beard.
So, what is really, DevOps for those who might not be familiar with it?
So yeah, good point. I mean, we've had a lot of DevOps folks come by the booth here, and what they've been asking is, how does F5 help me? What can I do to take my application logic and get it into the network tier? Okay. And what we're so excited about is that it's exactly the message that F5 has been talking about for more than a decade. And with LineRate, we've really taken it to the next level. Okay. So now we've produced an application proxy through this acquisition that's really focused for developers and allows them to write code in the network tier in a language that they're already using. Specifically Node.js libraries, which is run on JavaScript. Okay. So LineRate actually has taken that JavaScript V8 engine and implemented it in this high performance proxy, and then really simplified the networking piece of it down so the DevOps folks can just focus on writing code and not running a proxy.
I see. So we, our TMOS platform, and we, a lot of times we talk about our secret sauce being that dual proxy architecture, the ability to terminate a TCP connection on the outside, decrypt, inspect, manipulate, do whatever to the traffic, and then, re-engage a second TCP connection on the back end of the proxy. How is this similar and/or different?
Yeah, great question. LineRate is very complementary to BigIP. Okay. They're designed in many ways to work together. So whereas BigIP is feature rich, it has decades worth of features, modules from everything from identity to security to web application firewall, all of the things that you just said. LineRate is also a full proxy device, okay, but it's not that feature rich in terms of adding everything in the kitchen sink to allow network administrators to do what they need. Instead, it has a flexible platform that lets you build the functionality that you need. So one of the examples that we've used quite often in the past couple of weeks has been A/B use testing. You want to send users to one version of your site and other users to a second version of your site. And you want to do that based on some kind of qualitative metrics that you have stored in a database. So LineRate can open a sideband connection, okay, and then get that user's cookie, do a lookup about that user, figure out where they're coming from, who they are, other information, and then decide which version of the site to send them to. Then it can update the database about their experience.
Interesting. So where then architecturally would it sit? We often talk about our strategic point of control, and many times in the DMZ and being ICSA certified firewall and all the cool stuff about that, being able to be secure while in the DMZ, does it then kind of hang off an interface? Where does it sit in the architecture?
It can sit anywhere. It gives you many more points of control that application developers can deploy in many different places. So for example, one of the key differences is that it's not a hardware device. Okay. It's software that can run on a VM or it can run on commodity hardware, but it's a complete package solution. It's going to be able to run on Amazon as well. The idea is going to be you deploy it where you need a proxy. So it could be in front of a web server, it could be in front of an app server, it could be in front of a database, it could be at the edge of the network. One of the scenarios that I envision, it's very likely, is that BigIP would be running on the edge, providing a whole host of services, and then directing traffic to LineRate.
I see.
For smaller industries, smaller organizations, they may just have LineRate doing all the functionality that they need. It has the basic load balancing features. It has high availability built in. It is high performance. really amazing performance, actually, topic for another time. But so the architectural options are limitless, and now the developers have a say in how they want to architect network solutions as well.
And so it's really, I'm thinking in my own head the benefits that organizations face, versus what they're trying to do today. And so clearly it's a lot of like manageability, especially when you have a number of different versions. I mean, we go through this ourselves with our code. We have multiple drops and builds and so forth, and then managing those. I think, am I onto something?
No, you're exactly right. It's manageability is a huge part of this. LineRate has been designed from the ground up to be completely manageable through its REST API. There's a full CLI, GUI, and it's designed to be completely automatable. So you can spin an entire LineRate instance up using Pixie Boot, get it into your network in a completely automated fashion. So you can build them up, tear them down. The licensing model supports that. You can build as many as you want to get the throughput that you want. And we'll be talking about that when we announce the full licensing model here in a couple of weeks. But it's really exciting. It gives again, developers that ability to kind of put a strategic point of control where they need it.
Got it.
Really, really neat.
And so we have, you erased it. I thought we had a URL. So how do people learn more about LineRate Systems?
What I would do is go to lineratesystems.com or go to f5.com and search for LineRate. You'll be directed to a download site. There's a free tier, and there's going to be continuing to be a free tier, throughput and connection limited, but it'll put the full functionality in the hands of developers. They can start writing code. They can port their existing node code to LineRate. They can check out the features. And we'll actually be at the Node Summit in San Francisco in 2 weeks on December 3rd and 4th, where we'll be doing our official announcement. But it's available today for download.
It's pretty interesting over the last couple of years how even our focus, where it used to kind of just be the websites out there on the internet, or employees gaining access to their internal resources within an organization, and now, and especially as we started to release our VEs, we talked a lot about when the VEs came out, the ability to then place those in development situations, particularly things like ASM, the Web Application Firewall, so that those policies can be built and created and then brought into production. And the DevOps piece is really becoming important just within the overall IT infrastructure.
Absolutely. All of the programming and functionality pieces that BigIP brings, iControl API, the Tickle for iRules, iApps, iCall, iStats, all of these tools are extremely powerful, but they're typically not in the hands of the developers. As much as I've been singing the praises, the BigIP has role-based administration, user separation. We've done everything that we can think of to make sure that developers get access to that. But the network needs stability, and network administrators at the end of the day have so much dependence on the BigIPs to work. They want that change control within their hands. So it's understandable that they're not going to open up to an entire development organization. Now, some organizations do that. But what's exciting about LineRate for me is that you get all of that visibility for the network folks through that management interface. Full statistics are available for the network folks to see what's going on with the box, what changed, what's the throughput, what are the connections. They have full visibility through their existing management systems, but the developers actually control the tier. So, and they're writing in a language that they've been writing in for decades, really, now, since the mid-90s, JavaScript. And then with the Node libraries, which now there's over 40,000 Node modules available. Just 2 months ago, it was 20,000, 26,000, something like that. So it's already doubled and more. And that developer community is over 2 million people. So you're really tapping into a huge power. I mean, Dev Central is awesome at over 100,000 community members.
Right.
But Node is already at over 2 million community members.
Wow.
So think about that.
That's huge, huge stuff. I really appreciate the time, Nojan. One of the things I was telling somebody yesterday, that one of the things that I enjoy about doing these videos is that, I try to be a Mr. Know-it-all about F5, of course, but then, there's certain things that you might not be as familiar with, and it's times like these where I learn a lot more about these things that are going on within F5 and get a much better understanding. So I do appreciate, it's for our audience, but for myself, this I learned too. So I really appreciate it, Nojan.
Thank you, Pete.
So a little bit more about LineRate Systems and how it can benefit DevOps deployment situations, things out there. All right, reporting from Vegas at AWS reInvent. I got Natasha behind the lens. For Nojan, I'm Peter, and we're with F5 Networks. Thanks for watching.